Okay, so it's now 7:30, so I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual meeting of Hounslow's licensing panel. I'm getting microphone interference from someone. Can anybody who's not speaking switch off their microphones? Yeah, okay. I'd like to welcome the members of the panel who are sitting this evening, as well as council officers who will be assisting members throughout the meeting. In addition, I would like to welcome members of the public who are watching this meeting at home. As you all may know, councils were required by law to revert to physical meetings from the 7th of May. But following specific government announcement regarding the current situation in Hounslow, it has been decided that licensing panel hearings will be held virtually until further notice. This way, the meeting will work that as chair, I will be running the meeting and inviting people to speak. As it is very easy for people to speak over each other in a meeting like this, I will ask each member or officer to speak in turn at the appropriate stage. This would mean that there should normally be no need for people to interrupt or to ask to speak. However, I shall make sure that all members have ample opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the reports and applications before them. The exception to this arrangement will be the legal committee or licensing officers who may turn on their microphone to alert me to any legal, governance or licensing issue that needs addressing, although I would expect this to be a rare occurrence. In addition, we have a producer of the meeting from our ICT department who may also want to contact me if necessary, but I think it's unlikely if all goes well, as we hope it will. The etiquette for members of the panel and for officers who are expecting to speak will be to mute your microphones until you are asked to speak. This means that only one person will be speaking at a time and there will be no background noise, making it easier for us all to follow the meeting and also for those watching at home. I will also ask members always to say who they are when they make the contribution, to speak slowly and clearly for the same reasons. We have 3 members of the licensing panel committee with us this evening to form the licensing committee with us this evening to form the licensing panel, and it is we who will be making the decisions. Officers of the council will provide assistance and advice as required, but the final decision will be made by members. I would now like to introduce each of the members here tonight, one by one. I will start. My name is Councillor Richard Foote. I'm chair of the licensing committee and I'm an elected member for Hamworth Ward. Councillor Kiami, ask you to. Councillor Kiani.
My microphone is playing little bit. Just a minute. Yes, sorry. This is Councillor Kiani. I represent Hounslow Heath.
Right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Smith.
Hello, I'm Councillor Smith and I represent Hounslow South.
Right, thanks, Karen. I now invite each officer who's expected to speak at the meeting in turn to introduce themselves. So, Nicola, the licensing officer, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Nicola Harbour and I'm the licensing authority officer.
Right, thanks, Nicola. And Kaneet's the legal advisor. Can I get you to introduce yourself?
Good evening, I'm Kaneet Ali. I will be advising the panel this evening.
Right, thank you all. We also have officers acting in a producing role for the technical side of the meeting, but as they are not expected to be involved in the discussions of the meeting, I will thank them for their assistance, but not ask them to introduce themselves. Right, we've all muted our microphones again. Members of the public are reminded that the agenda and all the reports being considered by the panel this evening can be found on the council website under the licensing panel meetings page. So if you want to see them, that is where to look. I also want to make sure that all members have seen the agenda and reports. Please now speak if you've not had them. I'm pretty sure that, as you would have told me earlier, had that been the case. I'd like to remind members of the need to hear all of the evidence in the report we are considering tonight, and this means you should listen to the whole debate. Please don't pop out to make tea or walk dogs or whatever else you might wish to do. If you wish for a comfort break, please ask and we will provide. but you need to be there, so this is a legal requirement. If you find you're having technical problems and need to log out of the meeting and come back in again, please let me know immediately, ideally beforehand, but not afterwards. But if not, afterwards, by turning on your microphone. This would be a permitted interruption. We can then decide how far we need to recap. Finally, I would say to any member of the public listening or watching, thank you for joining us this evening. We hope this meeting will go well, but any virtual meetings may suffer from the unexpected technical hitch, so please bear with us. I should also clarify that this meeting is being recorded and it will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Contributors to the meeting are asked to remember that therefore will be included in the recording of this public meeting. Thank you. We now move on to the agenda. We're now going to look at the agenda item for the licensing application at this meeting. This evening's application is an application for a premises license in respect of Chipata restaurant in Kingsley Road, Hounslow, Central Ward. I will at this point bring to the attention of the panel that the premises fall within the Hounslow cumulative impact area. Where we need time contributions, I will ask the legal officer to alert me to when allocated timings have been reached. I will also ask her to alert me prior to the guillotine being reached if we have not concluded the meeting by that time. May I remind all members, officers and public speakers at this meeting to introduce themselves each time they speak, and also to turn off their microphones when they finish speaking. It's also important to speak slowly and clearly so that everyone can understand what you're saying. Finally, if you're making reference to any agenda documentation, please give the page and paragraph details. The process for an application with speakers is as follows. The officer, stage one, the officer to give their presentation on the application. The applicant will then be asked if they agree with the circumstances described in the officer's report. I don't believe we have anybody making any presentations from the police, licensing authority and other body case, although there is a police report in writing that's attached, which I think has been agreed with the applicant. We then ask the applicant to speak for 5 minutes in total and answer any questions from all other parties. There will then be questions of the applicant. Other persons, if the objectors, and I believe there was an objector, but I understand that objector is not present. Is that correct, Nicola? Is that still the case?
No, he is present, yes.
Sorry?
He is present.
Oh, he is present. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got, right, I needed to know that, yeah. Objector is present, okay. Following, then the objector's case will be made and everyone will be given the chance to ask questions of them. They will have 5 minutes in total overall. So we have one person, so that'll be 5 minutes for that person. I will then invite all parties to sum up their positions, with the applicant being entitled to the last word, and the summing up being taken last place. The summing up will be repeating. It's not a point to introduce new material in summing up. The panel will then leave the meeting to discuss the case and reach its decision. It will be joined by no one else except the legal officer, who's there to give advice on the law but will not be party to the decision. Once that has been done, we will return to this meeting to read out our decision on the application, and that will conclude the consideration of this item. Right, we now move to the start of the proceedings. I will therefore now begin the formal hearing of this case. I will start by inviting Nicola, the licensing officer, to introduce the report. Nicola.
Thank you. Members are requested to determine an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect of Chipata restaurant at 89 Kingsley Road, Hounslow. The licensable activity applied for is as follows: supply of alcohol on the premises Monday to Sunday, 12 to 2300 hours. Hours of premises are open to the public, Monday to Sunday, 12 to 2300 hours. The application has been properly made and all procedures correctly followed. The application has been attached as Appendix A. Of those consulted in paragraph 6.2, there has been one representation from a local resident concerned with possible increase in noise nuisance late at night. The representation has been attached as Appendix B. The police did not make a representation and have agreed conditions attached as Appendix C. A copy of the report and representation received have been sent to the applicant. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nicola. Can I ask the applicant now, do you have any comments to make? Or do you agree that what the officer has said is a correct interpretation of what we're doing here? Yeah. Yeah, do you agree that what the officer said? I'm sorry, your mic is muted, I think. Can you speak now, Mr. Vingham? Yeah, we can't hear you. Can I ask you if you would put your thumb up if you agree what the officer said? Okay, that's the easy way to move on. And then if you could try and, yeah, you'll need to mess about with it, obviously, by the time it comes for you to talk. But don't worry, I'm aware of it. Okay, if there is something you wish to interrupt with or come up, then just hold your hand up and we'll see how we can get on from that. Right,
Yes, agreed. I agreed.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Good. You're live and good. That's fine.
I'm sorry, because what happened, the laptop voice was not coming on. Connected through the phone. I'm using the phone and I'm again watching through the video also. I'm sorry for that.
That's all right, no problem. We're used to people who can handle things in a multiple way. Not all of us can.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So, right, we move on then. As I say, there have been, the only item in there is PC Pello has agreed a list of conditions with the applicant, and we will come to that later. So, let's move on. And now then, we'll ask the applicant to make your case. So, yeah, it's your opportunity to make your case. I'm sorry, I keep trying to find all of the names of people. My papers are a bit upside down here. Usually it's on the screen, but I think it's not at the moment. All right, the applicant. Let's get this on. Right, Mr. Vugan. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Sorry. My apologies for that. Yeah, if you could put your case at this stage. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you anything to say in support of your case?
Yeah. Yes, sir. And so far, because we opened the restaurant on January 2nd week. First 2 weeks we are in soft launch, and after March, second week of March onwards, we are on lockdown, and that was happened. And unfortunately, we are the new restaurant, so first time in the market. And when most of the customers, when they come in and they are looking forward to serve the alcohol also, when they come in, can I get the alcohol menu? And we all, sorry sir, we don't have it. And then is the people, some people are going to the next doors and going to getting their own booze. Then some people are like, they're compromising themselves, and okay, that's fine, and just go for the meal only. And that's only the reason we're thinking for, like, why don't we get like an alcohol license to serve, fulfill the customers, everybody equal, like, we make them happy. And at the same time, we planning to serve the alcohol onto the table, just for on the table only for the front area, front of the restaurant area only. That is only the license we applied for. And so far, I don't have any issues with any neighbors and anyone because we are so friendly. I always respect the local community and local people, and we always be to continue as usual, same like now also, and the future also. And at the same time, I got like, I'm a chef for like almost 20 years, and I was working for Hilton for around 16, 17 years in Hilton Groups as executive head chef. And I'm staying in Onslow area. I know the people, I know the local community. I want to bring something like, I know the people, what kind of food they want. That's why I came into the market. I want to introduce my taste to the people, to the local community also, what they're looking for Indian food. And that's what I can say, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And I respect Mr. Kurashi complained also the same time what he said at the noise levels. 100% when the customers are leaving to the restaurant, I always inform the customer, let them know also because to respect the local people. And we always tell them we put our signage on the front of the door also, please leave calm when they're leaving the restaurant in the late night. And we never cross the limits, and we always on time to close, we always on time to taking the order also. Then so far I don't have any issues with the front neighbors also.
Okay, right. Thank you, Mr. I mean, obviously, the objector will have the opportunity to.
I always. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks for listening. Thank you very much for everyone.
Okay, right. So now, I'm going to ask the councillors. Councillor Kiani, do you have any questions of the applicant?
So, Chair, I do have one question. It's just Mr. Wogan just mentioned that he will be serving the alcohol only in the reception area, but I can see on the map, and only 32 seats are in the bar area. The rest of rear open space. So what will happen to the people who are sitting at the back? So they will be refused to serve by the management, or what?
No, sir, because that is being considered as a temporary, and when the COVID restrictions, when I put on 2 meter distance by the law, I'm putting for sitting only for 10 to 12 people. When one single person comes and there's a table of 1 is gone, then I'm maximum up to only 12 people. What is the idea was that time? Okay, anyway, open space is there. What do as a temporary? Somebody can sit on the back if they really want have some meal to make them serve instead of refusing them. And we putting just because of the social distance, I want to cover every customer to make them instead of saying no, we try to cover it. We got some more space there. We try to serve the people. And that's only the reason I put as open space on the back area. That in the future, what is my plan, sir? I've already given architect on the back to get the permission is on the process. If everything goes through, I will apply in the future, but not for now. And that is need to get the permission first. I'm not serving any alcohol there. And only in the dining, I'm serving the alcohol, I'm sitting in. Only for the people on the back, that's only for the COVID reason I'm using them.
Chair, with your permission, can I ask a supplementary question?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Mr. Wogan, yes, that's very right. You said, you will be serving in the front area only, but how you are going to stop the customers going right at the rear, sitting there and drinking alcohol, do you have anything in plan?
In the future, that's what I'm saying. So for now, I'm going to say the customers who's on the back, I can ask them to ask for the dining, like a family. I'm getting a lot of families. I can ask the people who's not drinking, I can request them to maybe they can sit down on the back if they are interested. Now the summer is a hot weather. Maybe I can ask them, some people, they are happy to, most of the people are happy to go and sit on the back because they don't want in the closed areas. Even the people, somebody sitting also, if they want without alcohol, that's fine. But in the front area, I'm happy to serve on the alcohol on the table.
So I presume that you will be putting up the sign that alcohol will be served only in the bar area. Only
on the bar area, sir. Only on the bar area applied for. On the back area, only for the dining, if the people really want to sit down to eat, and that also for certain time, not for the maximum, maybe 10 o'clock. After 10, they need to come forward.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I don't have any further question.
Okay, thank you, Councillor County. Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much.
Hi. I've just got a couple of questions. When did you first open?
We opened on first week of January, ma'am. First week of January, you opened the restaurant.
Okay, so what was happening last year? Because I know the complainant mentioned noise last year. Was that?
Ma'am, that time is eat out and help out was there. Eat out or help out. There is a people are queuing on the front of the restaurant. We try to encourage every customer instead of receive them. They are waiting for like hours, like a 30 minutes, 35 minutes for the seating to come in. We don't want to say no because everybody want to use their 50% discount. And when I'm putting on the backyard and there is the people like the sitting on the back, maybe there's the noise levels maybe increased with the people like around they got 40, 45 seating. And that time we are very busy also. I'm in the kitchen. I am in the operation and not on the front area. I'm as a chef. I'm cooking the food also. Maybe the noise level is a little bit higher on one day. And I can say that I'm really sorry for that. That is happened on one day, as Mr. Qureshi said in August, and just because of eat out and help out.
Okay, so when did you first open the restaurant yourself?
We opened before. We opened January. We opened itself, and lockdown was happened on March 19th. March 19th is lockdown. Then after that, we shut down for like 2 months. We don't done any takeaways, nothing until 2.5 months because we're scared to come out. Also, we said no. I got like a small baby, so I said no, it's not really worth. Because first time in the business and COVID was really scary me. Then I was sitting at home.
But you were open last year, so I'm just
on the backyard we constructed on July end of July, like end of July, and we opened on August first week, I think before eat out, like 2-3 days of eat out started.
Okay. The other question I want to ask you is you're serving alcohol until 11 o'clock and you're closing at 11 o'clock. Normally people have a half-hour drinking up time.
No, ma'am, because we're serving alcohol until 11 o'clock and my restaurant, I got a permission until 12 o'clock, restaurant permission. The people can last order until 11:30. They need to leave by before 12 o'clock. Anything, I'm not supposed to do any transaction after 12 o'clock. They need to be at least for 10-15 minutes before they start leaving.
Sorry, can I just ask the question? Because are you serving food after 11 o'clock?
Yeah, last order is 11 o'clock. If the people last order at 11 o'clock, they're eating until they're going to eat the meal. They're normally leaving at 11:30, depend on the people.
Yeah, so we need to take advice on that, our legal advisor. We'll come back to that with our legal advisor, Councillor Smith, yeah.
Okay, I think what you're saying is you're closed at 12, yeah?
No, at 10:30 the last food order. 10:30 is the last food order, and 11 o'clock we're closing the bar.
Okay.
And the people, when they comes on 10:30, at least it's going to take 60 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes to finish the starter and main course.
Okay, but you don't actually throw everyone out until 12 is what you're saying.
Before we're not serving until 12 o'clock alcohol. We're serving only before 11, finishing up.
Yeah, but when you say that, no, I'm asking because on the form, when you say ours premises are open to the public, they're actually open until 12.
Is alcohol only the alcohol?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's a different thing.
But after 11, we're not serving anything, ma'am. Only the billing is happening. The people are leaving, start leaving.
Sure.
Yes, but I think I'm trying to find it on your application because
10, page 10.
It says supply of alcohol. There should be a section on hours of opening.
Page 10.
Which are 11 p.m. So hours of opening mean you're not open after 11 p.m. You're closed.
So that should be 12.
That's what it means. I think we need to be really clear about that. It's not you can serve up till 10:59 and 59 seconds, and then everybody can carry on eating and drinking
that's fine.
12. That's not what it means. It means that the premises close at 11 p.m.
Okay, that's fine. We are happy to do that. Anyway, 100% will follow the application.
You were saying, was it Karen? I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I guess that's what you were referring to, Karen. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, can I ask one more?
Karen, yeah. Sorry, no, I'll let you come back unless you're answering that question. What?
Sure.
Yeah, are you answering that question? It's not a, yeah. Are you answering the question from Councillor Smith?
Yeah, just one question, because the hours of premises are open for public, it means even the food itself we need to close by 11 o'clock once the premises license is approved. That is the way the sales stands for?
No, that's something slightly different.
Okay.
You know, because if you are serving food after 11 o'clock, then you require a license to serve the food after 11 o'clock, which you have not applied for. So you do not have a license to serve food after 11 o'clock. What you've said, and had you said that that was the case, then there would have been a third entry, which would have been sale of food, which would have shown that. But that's not what you've asked for. So, you know, in terms of what you're saying is there's the sale of alcohol and the closure of the premises, which means, you know, everybody gone.
Okay, sure, we'll do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, Karen, anything more?
That's the main things from me, thanks.
Okay, well, we'll come back if necessary. I think we need to look at these rear open space, you know, because obviously that is going to be an open space where if there isn't any noise coming from that, that's going to be the most disturbance to neighbours is going to come from that particular area.
Sure.
Now, the other thing is that you did say that you're chef and therefore not always outside, but that's not your main role. Your main role is the license holder, and you'll see that the conditions of your license are being upheld. So if you need to do that and also be chef, you've got to find a way you can cover all of that. Are you familiar with that? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, but now we have the chef. Before, because we don't have any budget, because we open the restaurant, everything is locked down. There's no budget. We want to look after everything, and that's what has happened. Now I'm out from the kitchen.
Okay. So
it's almost that from May 17th onwards, we already hired the chef. Then we are out from the kitchen.
Okay, right. There's another on the drawing. There's another item that says down to the basement. What's happening in the basement? Is there anything happening that's related to the licensed conditions?
In the basement, we are not keeping for any seating. So we applied for we already given architect to apply for the permission for that. He's looking after on it.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you mean. You're asking an architect to do what?
Because we're planning to apply for the planning permission in the future. Then I came over to check, and he's looking after it. He's on process. So
that you're seeking planning permission?
Yeah, but I'm not.
Basement for what?
Just for nothing, because I'm not serving any alcohol. But in case we need a permission for that, in case the restaurant is full, then I can get in the future.
Right. So you recognise that even if you build it, your license
just for the dining, just for the dining for people for eat, not for the alcohol.
Okay. And again, before 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what is going to happen before 11 o'clock, sir.
Okay. I'm still a bit unsure about this open space at the back. How close are the residences to that open space?
Roughly, there is 200 meters, 300. 200
meters?
How many meters roughly? 1 second, sir, I'm getting permission. I'm not sure. How many meters? 5 meters? 5 meters, 7? Yeah. 5, maybe around 7 to 8 meters, sir.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a bit.
Back garden. I'm sorry, 7 to 8 meters on the back garden. It's my fault.
So it's pretty close.
So the back is all on the back, not a residential. There are bedrooms on the front, and this is only in the backyard, like in the gardens and storage areas on the back.
But they're overlooking this open space at the rear.
Maybe when you open the door, they can see.
Yeah, well, but their buildings overlook the rear space.
Yeah.
When you say open their door, you mean the residents open their doors, or you open?
No, when we open the door, they can see from the bedrooms. Like we open the door. Nobody can see because everything was closed on the back.
Rear open space. Have you got doors on there?
There's a back entrance door, yeah, loading area, in and out.
No, I'm talking about the rear open space. What's there?
Just only the temporary sheet. We put as a temporary construction, like a temporary sheet. The people can put as a, like, you know, we use as a temporary sheet, like a people sitting area. We done for when we's on the COVID reason.
Right. So, I mean, under COVID, which of course we're not here to discuss COVID regulations.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're here to talk about regular licensing ones. COVID
Yeah.
regulations could disappear tomorrow.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
fact, they may already have done so. I don't know quite. Maybe our licensing officer would no doubt tell us whether they still apply. But this is open space. It's not. I mean, it's got a roof on it, has it not?
It's a temporary sheet, sir. There's a temporary one in front.
Okay. And are you working on a roof? You're replacing the roof?
Yeah, it will. Once we get everything, like a planning person approve everything, then we will do future.
So
we will do
doing
the
a planning
construction.
application for it. Okay.
Yeah. Then after that, we want to change everything. Not for now. This is only for the temporary I use for, not
Okay,
for the
so
permanent
what
structure. That is only for temporary.
Okay. So you realise that if you get planning permission, that doesn't extend your license application. But if you
No.
need, you will need to come back and ask for a variation.
Sure. Sure, we'll do that. That is only for that.
Situation.
Yeah,
Okay.
100% we'll do.
Right. I go back now to my council. No, I won't. No, I won't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Right. It's Mr. Crazy, yeah? Yeah, Mr. Crazy, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I think I'll bring them up when I speak, when I have my own section. I mean, because it is a lot to do with the clarity around the open space at the back. So I'll discuss that, I think, when I speak.
Yep, that's no problem at all. Right, let me go back to my colleagues to see if they've got any further questions. Councillor Kiani, do you have any further questions of the applicant?
No, not at this stage, you know, but maybe further later on in the meeting. Yeah?
Well, no, this is your opportunity to ask questions of the applicant. So
no, not to the applicant. No, not to the
other
applicant at
questions
this stage.
to the applicant?
No,
No,
that's fine.
okay. Councillor Smith, do you have any further questions of the applicant?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Okay, I'm the same. So let's move on to right, our agenda. So the other persons now. It's all right, my agenda is upside down here. Right, other persons, which I apologise, Mr. Crazy, for referring to you as other persons. That's the way it's described in council's licensing rules, but it actually does include objectors or people who are in favour to be able, so it needs to cover that. So in your case, I'm taking you as an objector, correct?
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, right. If you'd like to make your points, you will have 5 minutes in total to make that. So if we get close to 5 minutes, we'll give you a little warning. But I mean, no, I'm not asking you to cut you off dead in mid-sentence.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Crazy, up to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Councillor Foot. So I'm Aun Qureshi, and I live with my family in Kingsley Avenue, one of the many houses that are very close to this application site. I'll say to begin with that we're not against the application in principle for a license, because I've lived here over 50 years and very long time. So I know that before the Chipata restaurant, there was under different management, it was the Punjab Karahi, and I think they had a license, alcohol license, and there weren't any significant problems. But what was very clear in that case is the area for which it was permitted to serve and consume alcohol. That was absolutely clear. And that was, I mean, I don't know if it's possible to bring up the drawing on the screen. I could share my screen if that's permitted, or
I think we've all got paper.
Oh, okay.
copies of it.
Okay, I'll just for my own reference.
Both existing and proposed.
Right, so I'm looking at it on my screen, and So on the proposed one, the top section, you've got the area with the tables and the bar, the kitchen, the gents and the ladies, and then you've got a back wall with a couple of little windows in it, and then coming down from there, and then the rest of the area, and that in the past has been the area that's been licensed for the serving and consumption of alcohol, and because that's solid brick construction, traditional building, there have been no problems with noise. And plus, in addition to that, the rear open space was always like a service yard, so you would never get customers going out that way. It was always from the front door in and out of Kingsley Road. But the problem is now, and the reason for concern, is this rear open space, and it's not at all clear whether that is part of the application. Now, Mr. Vugam has said, I think, that no, it's not. But if it was a rear open space and it was just used for service, then with that back door closed, again, things would be contained, noise would be contained, and that would be okay. But there ought to be, I would have thought, some sort of red line around the area, defining it very clearly that the license is only for the front part, because the additional risk here is that that rear open space is not correct, what's shown on the drawings. That is, at the moment, an enclosed space, because, as Mr. Vugam said, they've put a roof, apparently a temporary roof over the top of it, and not just a roof, but a kind of a timber stud wall at the back as well, with a door and a window, and that's been used for customers. It's not of sound construction. It's lightweight, in the applicant's own words, temporary construction. When there have been people in there, the noise just comes out like, you know, somebody's almost next to you. You know, people singing, you know, karaoke, amplified noise, you know, amplified music, loud, raucous, you know, chatter, the kind of atmosphere you'd get in a pub or a licensed premises where people have been drinking, so they're a bit merry and they're a bit uninhibited. That's spilled out into that so-called rear open space, which actually isn't a rear open space. Now, I would have thought that in the process of a panel assessing an application, normally you would do a site visit. I understand in these circumstances that's difficult, but were you to do a site visit, then I'd have thought that panel members would assess the suitability in terms of the robustness and the kind of the noise insulation of a building as well. So the risk here is that if a license is granted, is it possible to grant it just for the front part of the building and to say we specifically exclude the rear open space? In addition to that, would members be able to say we also note that that rear open space is in fact not a rear open space because it's been used for customers? And how do you police somebody who's been, you know, enjoying a meal, having a drink, and even if they put their drink down at the table, but they then walk into the so-called rear open space, you know, they'll be merry, they'll be wanting to sing and joke and chat. How do you exclude that? How do you police it? And then particularly with the door at the back being used for egress of customers into the back alley, you know, customers shouldn't be going there at all. So it's like a beer garden, really, that you're being expected to give permission to include, unless you exclude it. And then I come back to saying, how do you police it? The scenario that I can envisage is going to be like it was last summer, although we didn't actually complain last summer, but I can see it happening now, that we're going to, not just us, but other neighbours as well, because there's a load of first floor flats in all the shops that are sort of next door to this premises. There's a back garden which is adjoining. We're the third back garden along, and when we're in our back bedroom upstairs and the bathroom as well, it's like there's someone almost, you know, next to you, groups of people having a jolly time. You know, we're going to end up phoning planning enforcement or environmental health. They're going to be troubled because they're going to have to come out and say keep the noise down, and it's just going to cause antagonism. The whole thing should be just not set up to fail. There should be absolute clarity on what the area is. And I would say that Mr. Vugam has said that this temporary construction is going to come down eventually. Well, I would have thought it should come down before any license application is granted, because otherwise there's going to be this sort of scope creep. There will be a license, and gradually, you know, informally, people are going to start drifting into that back area while they're tanked up, while they're having a good time. and it's just going to be problematic. So that's the gist of what I'm saying, really, that I don't think the panel is able to approve anything that can be policed. There's too much of a risk here, and it's going to cause difficulty with neighbours. If it's done properly, then I think we can have good relations, but doing it properly means having that rear open space as a genuine rear open space, not accessible to customers, not as a covered over space where they can sneak in and take their
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chair, but the objector's exceeded his time. Just to keep you aware.
Okay, if you could wrap up, please, Mr. Kurose.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I've got across everything that I needed to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kurose. Right, do I have any questions from Councillor Kiani of Mr. Kurose? Do you have any questions?
Yes, I would ask one question, Mr. Qureshi. Mr. Qureshi, you mentioned that means that's the rear open space is not an open space, and it's a temporary. So and I heard from the Mr. Wogan that he was serving food there, but in his statement, which I asked him question, he said he will not be serving food there, or maybe. Not alcohol, I think it's not alcohol, but he will be serving food there. So if he is serving food there, then the noise will be there anyway, and so you are objecting not to serve food there, or you are objecting not to serve alcohol there?
Well, part of my objection, I think, would have to be dealt by planning rather than licensing, because for a premises to be fit to serve food as well, it should be constructed in the right way. It shouldn't be a fire hazard. There's been no assessment by building control. People could, end up in serious problem if there was a fire. It's not constructed in that way. But how are you going to stop people who have been drinking in the approved part, then from walking through into the other part, while after they've been drinking? Or are you going to say only people are allowed in the back who haven't drunk anything in the front? It's setting up a situation which is just going to be troublesome, and therefore there should be a comprehensive assessment of the whole premises before saying, okay, we'll approve this part, but we're not going to approve that part. It needs to be done with a bit of thoroughness and robustness, I think.
Oh, thanks for the clarification. I have no further questions.
Councillor Smith, do you have any questions?
So last year, how often were you disturbed by the noise from the premises? If you could give some sort of idea of what was happening.
It was definitely Saturdays and Sundays at the weekends. It was when there was a temporary sort of easing of, restaurants were allowed to have people in, but it also did extend to weekdays as well. So it was most days of the week for a limited period, and then I think the lockdown came back in again. So it stopped, and we've had it once or twice in the last, I'd say, 2 weeks, but infrequent. But we've had it. Yeah, we've had a bit of noise late at night.
Okay, but you said you haven't made a formal complaint.
I've in conjunction with my objection to the licensing panel, I copied that into planning and also to building control, and they both said that they'd be looking into it, and it appears that neither has there been building control approval for anything that's been constructed, nor planning consent. So the back part is in breach of both planning and building control, and all the safety risks that go with it.
Okay,
Can I just say, Councillor, Mr. Kurose, I made the same question of planning, not because we had any legislation over planning, because we don't, but I did want to know what was the actual situation, and what they told me was that it was what they call an approved planning application, because it'd been made within 4 years without any objection, and that's what had happened. So it was automatic. It's not been given a planning approval, but it is one that was, it happens, unfortunately. And the law says that if something's built and you don't object to it in a 4-year period. Now, what we need to know is that the adaptations that are being made is a different kettle of fish, and that would, I believe, require a fresh planning application, which would be heard But
Well,
I'm just, you know, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, not one that I like.
No, I understand the 4-year. I understand the 4-year rule, but this was only constructed in the summer of 2020. This was not constructed 4 years ago. So and it was constructed using polycarbonate, you know, those lightweight plastic sheets, and just covering over the whole rear area to make it a kind of function hall. So it's not been up.
That's another question. Then that's you know, and that can be challenged with planning. But you know, mine was just a general request for information from the officer, and that was their response. But you know, I mean, whether they were correct or incorrect is another matter, and that will be dealt with in any planning application. But I think that it's right to say that, you know, there is a necessity for anything that happens on that space to have planning application and planning approval, and you know, likewise with you know, other aspects of that. Yeah, just really, I think that my own questions have been asked, and it is around that space outside. I mean, one of the problems, obviously, is that in a restaurant, they must provide areas for people to leave the building to smoke. And one would have assumed that that would have been what was happening in the open space. That is not, you know, an agreement to take your drinks outside or anything else. But I mean, I'm just thinking that there is a need to give the right for people to smoke outside of the building. Now, whether they should be made to go outside on the pavement or outside in the back, I don't know. But I mean, that's something we can look at as we go through this application. I mean, you take the point that, you know, smoking is another issue.
Sorry, is that for me?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Smoking, so customers to use the open area, you mean?
That's right. I mean, how do you feel about customers using the open area to smoke?
Well, I mean, it's not an open area, so it's again, it goes back to a question of how do you police it in terms of whether they're taking their drinks out with them, and whether they have been drinking even if they're not taking their drinks out with them, because the noise leaks out of that open area. It's not an open area, but the noise leaks out of it as though it was an open area.
No, I think that this is what I'm coming back to, is that in order for it to be allocated for use of smoking, it needs to be an open area. In terms of policing, we can only make the license application to be one that is giving rules. Now, if a person is in breach of the rules, we are reliant upon neighbours, others, to advise us of that, and for that to be inspected by our officers. And if there is a serious breach of the rules, then the application will be brought back for a variation, and to look at it in total. That variation could be changes or could be withdrawal. So, you know, the policing is on the basis that if somebody wants to risk their license by pushing the parameters, then they should be aware that they could lose their license and that element of their business. And we, if that came up to us, we wouldn't hesitate from taking those steps if somebody was, you know, seriously in breach of their conditions. We can't put a team there every night and every. I mean, there's something in excess of 1,200 licensed premises in the London Borough of Hounslow, so we would have no opportunity of being able to police those on a regular basis. We can only really react to public response more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Karen, you were trying to get in.
I just wanted to know, have you talked to Mr. Vugam at all about the issues? Because
no.
I think it would be good for him, but also you, to have some sort of communication to try to resolve issues. I know it's not always possible, but it's
no, I'm happy to go around and, you know, and have a chat. That's fine.
It is something that we do recommend quite regularly with people, you know, that's the first step, is So both sides understand each other's problems and often come to a method of solving them that may not 100% satisfies everybody, but certainly, you know, has that area. But I mean, that's something else. That's something which we're not at that stage at the moment. But yeah.
No, I mean the gist of
we would often recommend that.
Sorry, is it okay if I just say?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, I mean the gist of any discussion that I might have with Mr. Bugum would be to, if necessary, just to go around and say, can you be careful that people who are eating or drinking in your restaurant aren't then being allowed to go in the back part? Assume, and that's on the assumption that the license restricts the serving and drinking of alcohol only to the front part. If that's the license that's awarded, then any discussion I might have would be simply to say, please, can you just keep with the terms of the license? Because, you know, last night we heard people having a party in the back, and we don't think they should be, because if they're purchasing and drinking alcohol in the front, that's where they should stay, and they should also leave from the front. So it's going to be a bit difficult to sort of. I can understand what you're saying about, you know, there aren't the resources for it to be policed externally, but it would have to be that ongoing kind of understanding of the neighbourly way to be. But I think to set that up in any license that's awarded, there needs to be absolute clarity that the license is only for the front brick-built part of this premises.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got that point. Yeah, and yeah, I accept that. I think Karen, yeah, the same. Anything else, Karen? You? No?
No, thank you.
Okay. Right, the applicant, did you have any questions of?
Yeah, just can I speak to Mr. Qureshi, if it's with your permission, if you say yes?
Yes.
Just one more. Hello, Mr. Qureshi. Nice meeting you, and because you're my neighbor. I never met you before. I'm really sorry if anything happened from my side, because I don't have any problem to come down and have a chat with you. Anything is an issue, whatever, then you can please feel free to come down, and either you can contact us on the phone, no problem. I'm happy to discuss anything, like, you know, if you get any disturb, if you got any issues with anything regarding to the restaurant, I'm quite happy to discuss with you, please. Because I always respect the local community and local neighbors and everything. And if any issues, feel free to knock my door anytime in the restaurant. I am available from morning 10 to night 11:30, anytime. Please, if any issues, just verbally can come and see me. I'm 100% my side. I will sort it out.
Yeah, no, thank you for the invitation, and I hope we do meet in good circumstances. But in the meantime, I would just say again that I hope that your application is going to be limited just to the front part of the premises, and that you're happy that you would be happy with that restriction as well.
Yes, Mr. Qureshi, because at 99%, 200%, I can say that nobody have access on the back door. I can tell you now. The reason was that is only for the deliveries, and sometimes I leave my car and in and out. When the front parking space is full, then I leave my car. Only that time I open my door. If even that is getting disturbed, 100% I will close the door by 10 o'clock itself. I don't even open it if you got any disturbance also. And there is nobody can have access for exit from outside, any customer. Only always I use the front door. I can give 100% guarantee for my side also, because the permission is only always I request the customer only even smoking in the front area only. Nobody can go out, and they have access from in and out from front door only.
Can I just say, Mr. Vugan, it is your opportunity to ask a question of Mr. Qureshi. So I don't know if you've got any questions that you would like to ask Mr. Qureshi at this stage. No.
No, that's I always.
I understand. No, that's fine. Not a problem. Right, Mr. Qureshi, are you happy with that? Can we move on? Yeah.
Yeah, just that point that I've made, that the license should be restricted, I would hope, just to the original brick-built part of the building.
I'm pretty certain that my colleagues will have taken note of that, and that will be one of the issues that we discuss when we adjourn to our virtual other room.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So now, I think we're now going to this like a house on fire. Right, now the opportunity now is for summing up. Can I say that sorry, somebody's got their microphone on and a telephone ringing.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm in the restaurant because maybe telephone. I'm really sorry.
Okay, all right, okay.
No
Yeah, if you could turn your microphone off then for the moment,
Sure.
that won't be coming across. Okay, right. So we will now ask the objector and the applicant to sum up, but please don't introduce any new material. If you could just bring into as few words as possible what your points are. So I'll go in the first instance, Mr. Crazy, and then the applicant can have the final say. So, Mr. Crazy, have you got anything to say in summing up?
Nothing additional other than to say that I hope the decision notice will, maybe by means of a drawing, very clearly define the area if approval is given, that this is the defined area only for the license. That's my summary of my request, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crazy. Right, now I ask, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here with a table full of papers, so I apologise if I'm not getting your name properly. So can I go to the applicant? Do you have anything in summing up? But please don't introduce new matter, just if you could précis what you know your argument. Is he there? I can't hear you, Councillor Smith.
Sorry, I was going to say we lost his picture. I don't know if he's still on the phone.
I'm not sure. Let me. No. Do we know from our IT people, have we lost contact with the applicant?
It looks like he's not on.
Is there any way we can restore that?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just out from the, I don't know what happened, something internet is lost. I'm on the phone. I can hear you.
So you're still there. Okay. No,
yeah, I can hear you, sir.
If I'd lost you altogether, because obviously.
Yeah, I lost the video.
With the business.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, we're actually now at the situation. Do you have anything to say in summing up?
No, sir. I'm fine.
No. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'll get our legal advisor to just give a description of what we need, what we can look at and what we can't look at. So Candice, you've got anything to say, or could you say it now, please?
Thank you, Councillor Foot. So the panel will now retire and go into the deliberation room to consider the application and the representations they've had this evening, as well as the written reps. The panel will have the following options. The panel can either grant the application or grant, secondly, the panel could grant the application in part or in full, subject to standard conditions and with extra conditions, or alternatively, the panel could refuse the application. During the deliberation, only panel members and myself will be present. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I could hear background noise, I was not sure. So during the deliberation, only panel members and myself will be present. I will not take part in the decision, but will be there to advise the panel only. Chair, we usually say that we have 15 minutes, but if it takes longer, we'll obviously convey that over to.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Candice. Right, we're now at the stage where the panel will withdraw with our legal advisor. As Candice said, we would normally indicate that we wouldn't expect our deliberations to take longer than 15 minutes. If it is the case that it's going to take longer than 15 minutes, we will get a message through to those who are waiting here at this meeting that it's going to take a bit more time. But what I would suggest that while you're involved in waiting, that you turn off your video cameras and microphones whilst you're waiting for the public to return, because the meeting will still be live and viewable by the public. So any comments you might be making to others or talking would be recorded. So if you're saying anything nasty about the chair, it will all be on record. So I will know about it. So you know, it's so just be reminded that, you know, if you turn off your microphones and your cameras, then you can say what you like about me then without it coming to my attention. I'd also ask you not to leave the meeting so that you're ready for our return to hear the decision. If you cannot wait, may I thank you for your involvement. I'll therefore now formally ask my fellow members and legal advisor to leave the meeting for the time being and join me in our withdrawing meeting. So thank you very much, and we hopefully will see you within a short period of time. So we will now leave.
Hi, Karen. I think Richard Foote is still not here, isn't he?
No, he's not here. I've just checked the list of attendees. I cannot see Councillor Foote.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we need to wait for him to come into the room, isn't it? Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. If it doesn't come on, then I think we should make a call to him and see whether he can be on or not.
Sorry, Bill, is there any way of checking whether council is okay in terms of regional?
Hello, so
Yeah.
I know I'm missing Councillor and the applicant.
He's just joined. Thank you.
I see Kenny's has joined. Yep. We are missing the applicant now.
He's here.
He's here.
Oh, marvellous. So it's only the chair that's
He's here.
Chair is here as well.
oh, excellent. I'll put the phone down.
Thank you.
Richard, you're on mute.
Right, I'll ask. We've got Karen here, I can see. Councillor Yanni, I can hear. Mr. Vugam, I can see. Kanitz, I can see. I've not got the what was Mr. Qureshi?
Mr. Qureshi is not here.
Yep.
Oh, Mr. Qureshi is here as well.
Yes.
So we're all here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
I can see
okay.
Mr. Crash.
Okay, so we have considered the application and we have come to the following agreement that we will grant a license to sell alcohol up until 10:30. That's Monday through Sunday. The hours of opening to the public will be to 11 p.m. So we assume that that half an hour is taken to consume all the alcohol. As far as the use of the building out the back, we are not licensing that building at the back to sale of alcohol or the consumption of alcohol. So you cannot consume alcohol in that building at the back. Up until 11 p.m, you do not need a license to serve food in your premises. If you're serving food after 11 p.m, you would need to apply for a late night food license, which you don't have, which will enable you to go beyond 11, and that obviously would go to a hearing and be heard and decide whether or not it's allowed. It's an automatic thing. I'm picking up some terrible noise. Right. Right. Can I also say that the building at the rear of your premises has a roof over it and you've described it as being enclosed, it therefore cannot be used for smoking. So you'll have to find an alternative area for smoking, because that building can't be used for that. The only thing it can be used for is for the consumption of food up until 11 p.m. And I mean, I think you did say at one time you would see using that more for the use of families rather than adult clients. So, you know, but you won't be able to sell alcohol for consumption in that area. That's the condition. Right, Kenny, so have I forgotten anything that I needed to say in there?
Chair, you've covered all the points to the point. The only thing you need to mention is with regards to the right of appeal, the time limit.
Okay. What you will get is a written covering of what I've said verbally within 5 working days. Who's objecting or objects to what's been done can appeal to the local magistrates, but has to do so within 21 days of today. So if there is an objection then that wants to go to the magistrates, it has to be made within 21 days. So I don't know if that's clear to everyone, but you know, that's something that can happen if they so wish. So other than that, our time has come to a close, and I thank you all for your attendance and your hospitality of us coming into your homes, and hope that things go well for you. Can I just just add as an addendum, not a condition, but pick up on your offer with residents, you know, and so I think we would all recommend that if you that communication is a good thing to do if it can be done, and I would suggest that you make every effort to do that, to communicate with your neighbours, and to have a dialogue that goes on that can stop problems before they begin. Then we'd all be that much happier. Yep. Anyway, thank you very much. A good night to you all, and sleep well. That's an early evening for you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.